What if I told you that Socrates wasn't just a philosopher, but a man who tried to warn us, not out of resentment, but through uncomfortable truths? He didn't hate women. He studied them, not with contempt, but with relentless curiosity. In a world where men are taught to worship, he urged them to observe. And once you grasp what he really meant, you'll never view relationships, attraction, or love the same way again. Socrates wasn't bitter. He wasn't jaded or vengeful. He wasn't speaking from emotional wounds. He was far more dangerous than that. He was clear-eyed. He looked past the roles, past appearances, and into patterns. He wasn't concerned with praise or politeness. He studied how emotion could be used, especially by those who never raised their voice. He watched the games men didn't notice until it was too late. His famous quote, "By all means marry. If you get a good wife, you'll be happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher," wasn't a joke. It was a layered warning. A good partner brings stability. A difficult one? She forces you to question reality, to examine human nature, to think. Chaos becomes the teacher. Through suffering, you're forced to understand, not just her, but yourself. That path doesn't break you, it transforms you. Socrates observed that many women don't use force to influence men. They use emotion, not shouting, but silence. Not commands, but disapproval. A glance, a withdrawal, a mood shift. And suddenly, the man becomes anxious, uncertain, reactive. He starts asking himself, "What did I do?" Not because he's guilty, but because he doesn't understand how emotional power works. And once you fail to understand it, you become its servant. He wasn't blaming women. He was naming a truth. That unspoken emotional influence is real. That a woman's power often lies not in her words, but in how she makes a man feel without speaking at all. If he doesn't see it, he becomes enslaved by it. If he does, he becomes calm, centered, untouchable. Socrates wanted men to see clearly, to stop chasing peace by sacrificing their sanity. Modern men are taught to earn love. Be agreeable. Be helpful. Always make her happy. And so, they chase approval. They fix. They apologize. They offer more than they can sustain. But the truth is, the more you chase her emotions, the more power she gains over yours. Once she knows your mood depends on hers, she can control you without words. Only with distance, silence, or a withheld smile. One moment she's warm, laughing, touching your arm. The next, she's cold, distant. You ask what's wrong. She says, "Nothing." But you feel it. The temperature has dropped. And suddenly, you're the one trying to fix something you didn't break. You question yourself. You walk on eggshells. You apologize, even when you're unsure why. This isn't love. It's emotional control disguised as mystery. Not all women do this knowingly. Many don't even realize the effect. But it still works. Socrates saw this thousands of years ago. He watched how men became unsteady under emotional shifts. And he realized, the real war isn't about strength or logic. It's about emotional stability. Whoever controls the emotional rhythm of a relationship controls the dynamic. Most men don't even know there's a rhythm to begin with. His wife, Xanthippe, was known to be difficult, sharp-tongued, temperamental. People mocked Socrates for staying with her. But he didn't run. He learned. He used her behavior as a mirror. Her moods didn't break him. They refined him. She became his test, his forge. She forced him to develop internal strength, not to control her, but to master himself. Here's the core problem. Men don't fall in love with real women. They fall in love with a fantasy, a perfect, soft-spoken, endlessly understanding angel. The dream begins in childhood. Stories, songs, films. all reinforcing the idea that the right woman will complete you, love you unconditionally, never raise her voice, never leave. But that woman doesn't exist. No one is without shadow. And when you're in love with a fantasy, you ignore the warning signs. You excuse disrespect. You silence your discomfort. You give too much to preserve an image. Why? Because the dream feels safer than reality. Because men are taught, if you just love her enough, she'll never hurt you. But it's a lie. And the more you cling to it, the more blind you become to what's really happening. When she pulls away emotionally, you chase. When she's cold, you try harder. You call it love. But it's not love. It's addiction to a dream. Socrates wasn't telling you to hate women. He was telling you to stop lying to yourself, to stop idolizing, to start observing. Because if you put anyone on a pedestal, they don't need to control you. You'll do it to yourself. True freedom begins when you see clearly, when you admire her beauty but also recognize her power, when you appreciate her light but respect her shadow. You don't have to fear her. You just have to stop pretending. Because real love begins only where fantasy ends. And only when you meet a woman as she is, not as you wish her to be, can you build something real. Emotional control is rarely taught to men. Yet it's everything. From boyhood, you're told, make her happy, keep her smiling, sacrifice yourself. And so, you begin to believe that her emotional state is your responsibility. Every time she's sad or distant, you blame yourself. You try to fix it. You try to become what she needs. But that path leads to burnout, not intimacy. Here's the harsh truth. If your mood collapses when hers does, you're not leading. You're obeying. Not by command, but by emotional pressure. You edit your words. You downplay your needs. You become afraid of her feelings. And slowly, you disappear. Not physically, but spiritually. The fire within you dims. You become a shell of the man you once were. Real power isn't about resisting her. It's about holding your ground, staying calm when she storms, staying still when she tests. Not because you're indifferent, but because you've mastered yourself, because you've understood the difference between reaction and presence. And a man with presence cannot be moved by silent withdrawal or passive tests. Society never taught you this. Because a grounded man cannot be manipulated. And a man who can't be manipulated is dangerous. Not to women, but to systems of control. He doesn't chase approval. He doesn't panic under silence. He doesn't seek validation through emotional obedience. Instead, he walks with clarity. And clarity makes you powerful. This isn't about domination. It's about awakening, about seeing clearly, acting intentionally, and loving consciously. Women are not your enemies, but they are human, flawed, emotional, complex. And when you stop fantasizing, you can finally meet them where they are. Not to save them, not to serve them, but to connect, truthfully and with respect. So stop chasing, start seeing. Don't run from her shadow. Learn to navigate it. Don't fear her emotions. Stay rooted through them. Love her, but not at the cost of your mind. Respect her, but not by sacrificing your truth. This is the wisdom Socrates tried to pass down, not to destroy love, but to make it real. If this message spoke to you, don't ignore it. It's not just a video. It's a wake-up call. One that says, you were never meant to lose yourself just to be loved. Your strength is not in your sacrifice. It's in your self-awareness. And once you reclaim that, no silence, no storm, no fantasy will ever control you again.